Hashtag fake GOP. Make that very fake GOP. Today, what we saw was not only repeal and replace fall through, but immediately as they said, all right, we're just going to do repeal. We've already voted on that. We've had the majority of the Senate vote for that in 2015, so we should be able to get that passed. And then we have enough Republican senators immediately say, no, we're not going to vote for it now. Because before, Obama was going to veto it, and he did. But now it would go through. And so now we see what they were really doing. They were simply trolling us, these senators who did this. So we're going to name and shame the ones who have done it so far. But first of all, Plan C, that was what they were coming up with. Plan A, Plan B, Plan C. There is no plan, folks. They never had a plan. There was never a plan put forward by the GOP to repeal Obamacare. And if you have no plan, you're planning to fail. They never had a plan. They can call it Plan C or whatever, but we see through their charade now. It's very fake GOP. Plan C on Obamacare, says the New York Times. Repeal and replace later has now collapsed. Senators Susan Collins of Maine, Shelley Moore Capito of West Virginia, and Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, all Republicans, immediately declared they could not vote to repeal the Affordable Care Act without a replacement. I did not come to Washington to hurt people, said Ms. Caputo. Now, this is the West Virginia senator who took the place of Rockefeller in West Virginia. And quite frankly, she's not there in Washington to protect people. She doesn't want to hurt banks and insurance companies. That's what she is representing with the Rockefeller interest. She is part of the establishment. She is Exhibit A as to what's wrong. Now, it's not just those people. As the Daily Caller pointed out, they put up the roll call of 2015. They said these 48 Republican senators voted for a clean Obamacare repeal just 2 years ago in 2015. Now, of those three that I just read you, we had Senators Murkowski of Alaska and the one I just talked about from West Virginia that voted to repeal, and now they say they're not going to vote for repeal. But there's a third one who comes in with this as well, and this is Senator Jerry Moran, and he is from Kansas. And look at what Senator Moran did today. He jumped the tracks in the Senate subway on Capitol Hill so that he could get away from a large gathering of reporters who wanted to ask him why he was a turncoat on this. You know, I hope that next time he does this, instead of pissing on voters, he pisses on the third rail, because you all know what happens if you take a leak on the third rail that's electrified in these subway systems. You get quite a shock, and it should be a shock for voters. This guy can run, but let's hope that when it comes time for re-election that he can't hide. This is absolutely shameful, and there you can see him running and dodging the reporters. Let's hope that he doesn't run and dodge the voters. So Trump's reaction was, let Obamacare fail. He said it'll be a lot easier, and I think it'll probably be that position where we'll just let Obamacare fail. We're not going to own it. I'm not going to own it. I can tell you the Republicans are not going to own it. Well, I disagree with that last thing there, because the Republicans do own it. The GOP Congress does own this. They've had the centrists who have said that they put their foot down on tax reform. They have stood for subsidies for massive insurance companies who are getting rich, profiting off of a government that holds a gun to our head and forces us to buy their policies that contain things that we don't want and we don't need, like maternity care for single males. We don't want or need that, and we cannot afford it. It is not doing anything to drive the cost of health care down. They talked about it being affordable care. It has done nothing to make health care or health insurance more affordable. And now the metric has become how many people are going to be insured. Well, Donald Trump's Attorney General, Sessions, could stop all of this, because the subsidies that are now the metric, because it's now about universal coverage instead of affordability. The person who could stop this is Attorney General Sessions. As Jerome Corsi has pointed out with his research, the funding for this was never appropriated by Congress, so Obama just stole it from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac investors. They did what they called a net asset sweep. You and I would call that theft. And then they appealed it. Eric Holder appealed this decision from a judge who said, you can't do this. The Congress has to appropriate the money. It's unconstitutional. shut that down. They appealed it. The appeal is still there. And Attorney General Sessions could stop the funding of these subsidies if he just wanted to drop that appeal, but he doesn't. And we're going to talk later in this broadcast about how Attorney General Sessions wants to use theft not only to fund Obamacare, but to fund law enforcement. He's going to be stepping up civil asset forfeiture in America.
As most of you already know, I am a voracious consumer of news and information. And in the last 4 or 5 years, doing more and more research, I came across the fact that the elite, the establishment, the science community is fully aware of the fact that our ancient ancestors, in many cases, had much better nutrition than we do today. And our ancient ancestors sought out the bones of the animals that they were hunting, killing, and then processing. And that they went for the bones first, knowing that they were full of the vital essence in the marrow, but also in the bone structure itself. And so I set out working with the top formulator in the country to develop Caveman, but to not just have concentrated bone broth from chicken, but 7 other superfood ingredients known for cleansing and supercharging the body at the same time. Bottom line, when you purchase Caveman at InfoWarsStore.com, you're supporting the broadcast and true independent media that's fighting for the future of this country to be a free nation. So it's a win-win. But you really should try it for yourself to see what it's done for myself and so many others. InfoWars isn't just fighting the globalist. We're getting results, and we're expanding in the face of the complete media assault and winning because of your support, because of you praying for the broadcast, because of you buying the products and financially supporting the transmissions, and because you spread the articles and the videos and the links and tell folks about our local affiliates. Caveman is back in stock. People absolutely love it. So please secure your Caveman today at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.